Guys, welcome back to Andy's Dinosaur Reviews, and we have something really cool to check out today. We have a brand new Nanmu release. This is actually their newest version of the male Tyrannosaurus Rex. They've gone ahead and created a newer version of that Rex, which already actually has 3 variants out, but this time we have a female Rex paint scheme on the male, so we have kind of more of like a Rexy paint scheme on the male version. And this isn't meant to be one of the Once and Future King releases. This is actually just like a special edition release from Nanmu for their 5th anniversary, I believe. And you can see as far as the box art goes, very different from your normal box art from Nanmu. You can also see that it says Master down here, and then we have the Nanmu logo right in the center. There's not really too much else going on, honestly, with the box art, but we do have a separate box for the base, and you can see kind of like a sneak peek there of the base that's contained within. And this is definitely like your standard Nanmu type of box art with that really cool kind of black and white image and the Nanmu logo and stuff on it. Same as usual as far as the back of the box goes, where we just basically have the Nanmu logo and some information on it. And then if we turn this box around, you'll see that it's pretty much the same thing as the other box, where we again just have the back of the box with the Nanmu logo on it and some information. So let's pop this out of the box and check it out. So as we usually do, we have that really cool art card that comes with the Nanmu figures, and I always love this side of the card specifically because it has those really cool kind of hand-drawn images, which I completely adore. And then here on the opposing side, it's upside down, you can see that we do have that same card again that we had in the Once and Future King release, which again shows off the more mainline paint scheme with that Lost World Jurassic Park male Rex paint scheme. Awesome card, awesome addition to every one of these models. And then we've got ourselves the base, and look at how cool that looks. Really nice looking sculpt on this, beautiful paintwork, and the addition of that Spinosaurus skeleton is just incredibly cool. And anybody that is a fan of the Rex over the Spino in Jurassic Park would probably enjoy that aspect of the base, because there are many people that were really mad that the Spinosaurus killed a Rex in Jurassic Park 3. Personally, I didn't really care because I love the Rex, I love the Spino, it's all good either way, but some people were a little bit angry about that, so this might be a base that they would probably enjoy, again with a deceased Spinosaurus on it for the Rex. And then we've got ourselves the T-Rex itself, and again sporting a brand new brownish color scheme, much more reminiscent of a female Tyrannosaurus Rex. But if you aren't really a strong follower of Jurassic Park or The Lost World or Jurassic Park 3, any of the Jurassic films, then the fact that this has more of a male-like appearance probably isn't going to mean very much to you, so you can enjoy the fact that this is just a really neat-looking T-Rex model with a very nice naturalistic paint scheme. But if you are, again, a fan of those films, you're probably going to either dislike the fact that we have the male Rex with the female color schemes, or really enjoy this. And I personally absolutely love it because it's pretty much what Nanmu's been doing from the beginning as far as their releases. They normally give you kind of like a male type paint scheme and a female type paint scheme, and this time we just have the female brownish version a little bit later, even though we already have had kind of a brownish version, but it wasn't exactly like this. It wasn't the Rexy paint scheme. It was a very cool, innovative Nanmu paint scheme that they had given it prior. This time again, we have that more Rexy paint scheme on the Rex. So let's go ahead and jump straight to a closer look at this right now. Now, as far as the sculpt of the Rex goes, we don't really need to go over that. We have already reviewed the sculpt of this Rex in the past, so I don't feel like we need to do that again. All we really need to do is take a look at what's different on this one compared to the previously released versions, and that, of course, would be the paint scheme. So you can see that we have quite a bit of really nice variations of browns to the Rex, very Rexy-like again as far as the tones of color chosen in the overall design. You can also see we've applied some really nice light tones, some light coloration that's beautifully dry brushed here on the face, kind of like almost like a light grayish tone, but you can see variations of brown kind of striping through and designing through in certain spots, which definitely looks nice. You've got some darker stripes leading down there through the palette, and again quite a bit of color variation. You can just see a lot of depth to the coloration there in the face of the Rex. You can also see a nice darker tone there around the eye. The eye is painted very nicely, kind of has like a light orangish tone with a black pupil. It has a beautiful gloss coat over it as well. And you can also see again as far as the coloration goes here for the underside, we have more of that light tone right there, but we also have some beautiful dry brushing with the dark blackish tone there that runs along the jawline of the Rex. Again, pretty much exactly as you see on the female type of a Jurassic Park Tyrannosaurus Rex. As we open the mouth, of course, you can see we have a beautiful articulated jaw, but as you open the mouth, you can see some really nice color variation in here. First of all, we have like a darker pink, but we also have like a reddish wash applied, and then it transitions to kind of like a purplish tone as you lead closer toward the mouth. And then on the inside, you can see that we have some nice coloration for the tongue. Again, different variations of pinks, it looks like. And then again, that same style of coloration over here. Incredibly realistic, very lifelike coloration. And then, of course, you have a great gloss coat. Wow, look at that. That's amazing looking in there. But you have a fantastic gloss coat over top of everything. That might be one of the best paint jobs that I've seen on the inside of a Nanmu model's mouth. There is a lot of color variation in there. And then, of course, you have those fantastic teeth that as well have that perfect gloss coat to them, but also, again, just look so insanely realistic. Like, the mouths of the Nanmu models are probably some of the most realistic you'll see from any company anywhere, and especially when it comes to the teeth specifically. Like, they 100% look like real animals' teeth. Again, the realism is just unbelievable on these Nanmu models. And then as you move up here to the top of the head, you can see we have more nice dark tones. You can see a beautiful brown, but over top of the brown, we've got some nice dry brushing with a black, so it highlights the scales very nicely with the different coloration in there. There's also kind of like lighter tones that stripe through the upper part of the snout of the Rex. And then as you lead back here into the neck region, you can actually see variations of browns. Like, there's a nice lighter brown, but there's also kind of like a darker brown, or almost even like actually variations of green that are kind of dry brushed over the top of that area. And then you have that striping, again, that kind of classic striping that you see on a female Jurassic Park T-Rex running down the back. There's also kind of like some black speckles and stuff showing up here and there. And again, you can just see how that lighter coloration is just kind of creeping through all of the scales in such a realistic way. The coloration of this is super nice looking, just so many different tones of color, incredibly smooth transitions back and forth. You can even see kind of like a light yellowish tone right there that transitions very nicely from the brown. Like, I actually see a different variation, two different variations of browns here, kind of almost like a reddish brown there, then kind of like a yellowish tone, and I can also see hints of greens. Like, there's just so much color in Nanmu models that, again, as far as the paint schemes and paint applications of Nanmu models go, I feel like nobody currently can touch them when it comes to this style of model, and really giving you probably the most realistic paint jobs possible. You can also see some nice variation of color here in that bulkier throat of, again, what would be a male Tyrannosaurus. You can see a nice lighter tone, kind of like an off-white with a wash of like a lighter brown, and it continues to have that kind of same style as you move through the Rex. You can see the underside also has that type of a paint job, and again, really smooth transition as you move up here into the stomach. You can again see different varying browns as you lead up. And then as you continue to run along, you're going to see that same type of coloration there for the back of the Rex, as far as the kind of lighter tones of color creeping in and out of the different areas of the skin texture, the creasing in the skin. You have a little bit of a darkening here in the front of the thigh, but you can also see like some reddish tones, or like pinkish tones actually, I would say, in that area, which is just so impressive. Like, just right here, you can see so much color. You have that like kind of off-white with some light brown in there. You see a different variation of brown, some hints of greens, but we also have like some dark grays or blacks, as well as pinkish tones. Like, there's just so much color on these Nanmu models. This thing is just phenomenal as far as the paint job goes. As you continue to run down the course of the leg, it follows that same type of a paint scheme, paint application. Beautiful dry brushing of the scoots here on the toes, really highlighting those again with that darker coloration. And you've also got the very nicely painted nails there with a black and then kind of like a light gray dry brushing. And the nails, of course, have a gloss coat over them, so they shine like real nails would. And then as you lead out here into the tail, you can again see that we follow that same design as far as the coloration we've seen already pretty much through the entire model. Just tons of different varying tones of color. You can even start to see some more of the pinks kind of picking up here as you lead out closer to the tip of the tail. Just a beautiful, beautiful looking paint job for this model. And you can see again that same type of look here for the opposing side of the face. Very precise, very careful paintwork on Nanmu models, and you can see that they are the highest quality that you could possibly find for this type of model. Absolutely incredible looking sculpt, of course, but incredible looking paintwork for sure. Just tons and tons and tons of variation of color. You can even see dry brushing here over those kind of larger scoot-like scales up here on the top of the hip region. And then again, moving down through the leg, we see that same style of coloration down there. Just phenomenal is the word I could use for this paint job, and even that probably isn't going to do it justice. This is just an incredibly beautiful looking version of a Tyrannosaurus Rex. Again, as far as a male, sort of resembling a female as far as the coloration goes. This thing is awesome. And then as far as the base goes, you could see some gorgeous looking detailing, really nice texturing to the earthy areas, and they've added a ton of color variation to the earthy areas as well. As you can see, many different varying browns as well as greens and tans. Lots and lots of coloration. Very realistic sculpting and painting here of the stones and rocks and everything as well. Like you could see, there's quite a bit of color variation to those areas, so they look super realistic, as pretty much the entire thing does. You've got the footprints here of the Rex, which of course would be the area we would stand our Tyrannosaurus in. You can also see that we have a peg here that will help to hold our Rex on. And then you have the skeletal structure here of a Spinosaurus that clearly is deceased. I would say potentially a meal of this Rex at some point. And this would be a perfect base to kind of go with the Once and Future King version that's actually painted with that Lost World Jurassic Park coloration. So you can kind of mix and match and maybe take this Rex and give it that base, and then take that Rex and give it this base, and it would look really neat, because again, it kind of almost gives you a revenge tale of the Tyrannosaurus, maybe like the Lost World T-Rex catching up with the Spino on Sorna, maybe taking it out. And maybe that's what this skeleton here is, but you could see the skull and everything looks super cool. And the actual detailing of the skeleton here is fantastic, but the paintwork as well is great, because you could see that there's also many different tones of color applied to the skeleton itself. So realism everywhere on this. You can see even the sides of the base are amazing as far as both the sculpting and painting aspect goes. Just a really cool base, and probably I would say the perfect base for the male Rex from Nanmu. And you can also see that this is a limited edition. You can see that this is number 22, and you can see the Nanmu logo and everything down here on the underside. So gorgeous base to go with a super cool female paint variant of the male Rex. And then of course, to apply your Rex to the base, you have the little peg hole right there, and you're going to find that hole. Actually, it's a little hard to do it, but there we go, we found the hole. Match it up with the foot of the Rex, and then there we go. Our Rex is standing proudly on its base over top of the skeletal remains of a Spinosaurus. And then for a size, this is going to be exactly the same size as the previous Rex. So for a length, you are looking at, I would say, about 16 3/4 inches, or around 42, actually I'd say about 43 centimeters. And then for a height, I guess the back of the neck would probably be the highest point, just shy of 7 inches, or around 17.5 centimeters, closing in on 18 for a size comparison. Now, size comparisons are something that I feel like we don't really need to do much of with this model, because we've seen this Rex. This would technically be, yes, that would be the 4th review I have of this Rex up. So I'm thinking at this point we probably don't really need any size comparisons. If you'd like to see more comparisons with this, definitely check out the previous reviews. Again, you've got a few to go through, but as far as a size comparison goes for this video, we do have Mr. Papo Rex, the Attack Pack Colovosaurus, and Robert Muldoon from the Mattel Jurassic World toy line next to our Nanmu Rex. And you can definitely see again that if you are unfamiliar with this figure, it really sports an impressive size. You can without question see that here next to all 3 of these figures. And then why not, for one final comparison, we have the male version as far as the coloration goes next to the female coloration of the newest version. And you can see how cool, again, these 2 different paint variants look next to each other, and obviously showing the fact that they would definitely make a very cool companion piece as far as a display goes. So this brand new 5th anniversary Nanmu Tyrannosaurus Rex, again the male sculpt with female paint, is definitely another really cool release from Nanmu, and I'm actually quite excited to have that kind of female version here, because we did have the same with the Rexy sculpt. We had the male paint and the female paint on that model. We had the male paint on this one, but we didn't actually have the Rexy paint scheme on this model, so it's kind of cool to have both. And even though, again, it's not probably going to be everyone's cup of tea, and not everyone is going to want to own this model, I'm really excited to actually have all 4 different variants of this model now in my collection. And on top of that, this one comes with that fantastic base with the remains of the Spinosaurus, so it gets some major props just for having that really cool base. But The sculpt, of course, of this Rex more kind of resembles the male. That's obviously the reason they created it. They had already created a female in the past. They created this as the male, which I was really excited about because I'm a huge fan of the male Rex from the Lost World Jurassic Park. But the actual sculpt, again, is incredibly highly detailed, as every Nanmu model every time is. You really can't find too many companies that can compete with Nanmu as far as fine detail goes, as well as screen accuracy. Like, as far as a male Rex goes, I feel like they hit the nail right on the head as far as the appearance of this Rex goes. But I really think the female coloration looks really neat on this. Like, originally I was a little thrown off when I had first seen it. I was like, well, it's awesome, but it doesn't look as cool as the male. But having it here, it actually really does. It definitely looks really nice. And again, like I said earlier, if you're not a big fan of Jurassic Park, if you're not really all that familiar with the differences between the male and female, like, you're probably just going to love this because it's a really nice, big, bulky, intimidating looking Tyrannosaurus Rex with kind of that nice naturalistic brownish tone of color. And the paintwork, again, is phenomenal on this. As far as the coloration, when you get nice and close, get a nice, well lit area to look over this, you're going to see how insanely awesome the paint job of this is, how much coloration and paintwork has been applied to this in the absolute most realistic way possible. I feel like Nanmu has never been better as far as, of course, their sculpts, but their paint jobs. They have really, really been hammering out the best work of their existence over the past probably 2 years or so, and I feel like they've always been amazing, but at this point, like, they are so on top of their game, it's crazy. And if you, again, look at this in a nice light and really take in all the different really subtle differences in coloration and paintwork, you can really see how real and lifelike this looks. As a whole, it's probably one of the most realistic paint jobs I've seen on a dinosaur model because there's just so much color. Like, there is no area on this model that was left untouched. Everything has the absolute max as far as realistic coloration goes. So when you combine the fact that you have an incredible looking Tyrannosaurus with a beautiful realistic and natural paint scheme, as well as an amazing base sporting again, kind of a throwback to Jurassic Park 3, but this time with the Spinosaurus deceased under the T-Rex, you've got yourself one heck of an awesome diorama here. So if you are interested in this, I actually purchased this from Lana Time Shop, which I'm honestly kicking myself at this point for not ordering from them sooner because they are really, really awesome. Like, I ordered this Rex probably like maybe a week or two ago, and normally when I order stuff from overseas, like, it takes me probably close to a month most times to get it, but this came so fast. Like, when it arrived today, I was so shocked. I was like, there's no way this is that Rex, but apparently it is, because here it is now before me. So if you are interested in this, make sure you check the link in the description, as I will include a link straight to the Lana Time Shop where you can head on over there right now and grab this Rex while it lasts. Again, being a limited edition, it's probably going to sell out very quickly, so if you are interested in picking this up, I recommend grabbing it right away. And make sure you like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you in the next review. Thanks for watching.